G'day, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode of Stringybark Podcasting. I think it'd be episode 14 now. That's an old photo, so actually got it set up via YouTube. So just changing things around a little bit at the moment on my property here. So hopefully going to set up a bit of studio in the next few weeks, and that'll be good. Looking forward to it. And a bit better microphone, a bit of a permanent desk, and I'd like to start to be doing my podcasts a little bit more. I know with work and my family and whatever else goes on with day-to-day life, it can get a bit much. So but anyway, hopefully I can squeeze that in somewhere and make it happen. But just in today's episode, I wanted to have a yarn a bit about Australian news, and then talk a little bit about the Iran-USA debacle. So point two at Stringybark Podcasting is that we talk about the radical left and how they've infiltrated all our institutions, pretty much all of them, our political system, our schooling, even unis, TAFE, primary education, even our environmental movements, our Aboriginal movements, our religion, our way of life, our immigration system, everything. They're shutting down all our businesses with all their green renewable energy agendas and nonsense that they keep trying to push on our great country, which is just adding to the cost of inflation, adding to the price of everything, and just all around, it's a debacle. The radical left is a disease on our Western civilization, and it has not only stopped our prosperity for in the future, but it's cancelled out and destroyed a lot of our businesses that have been around for a long time, 50, 80, 100 years, even ones that haven't been around for that long, and very hard to bring back again once shut down and destroyed. So but apparently there's one over in America, and I have heard about it before. It's called Act Blue, which is a left-leaning organization getting billions of dollars of funding over 10 years. And apparently the CEO and whoever else is involved within higher ups within the organization are going through Congress and getting raked over the coals. So, once again, which is good to see, the radical left infiltration gets a lot of money from outside influences, whether it be in America or foreign countries. And I have no doubt that it happens here in Australia as well via other left-leaning organisations that have lots of money, one being Get Up and the other one being Climate 200. If you just Google those two organisations, you'll see who and what are behind them, and you'll see their agenda, and it is not good. In the Australian news, I just wanted to talk about the fuel situation, diesel, jet fuel, and just normal petrol. Apparently Albo's been flying around all these Pacific nations trying to secure fuel from Japan, which is probably a good source, which is close to Australia to get and rely on, that being an ally of Western civilization. Yeah, just in the Australian news, you'll see that Albo's been flying around all the Pacific nations and talking with other countries, trying to secure some fuel, fertilizer, uranium, diesel, jet fuel, petrol. And one thing that I would give them credit on here, which is very often, but hey, we need something because we don't produce anything in our nation. We are reliant on foreign countries, is Japan. Japan is an ally to the West to a degree. America deals with them. A lot of other Western nations deal with them, Australia, New Zealand, and they're a pretty close country which we can rely on, but also can offer us a quantity which a lot of these Pacific islands cannot. You see Albo flying around everywhere. I reckon he's nearly spent more money in diesel that he's actually got for our nation. I don't think so, but he only seems to be able to secure 1 day here from that little island, 2 days here from that other Pacific nation that he's just come back from, Indonesia, I think it was. So, that's not going to do nothing, Albo, because Australia uses, nearly 1 million litres of diesel, jet fuel and normal petrol a day. So, so anyway, Albo, this is what we come to expect from you, mate, in your Labor government. This whole time you've been flying around these Pacific nations, I haven't heard you mention once about maybe opening up some refineries and bringing back some manufacturing and production to our great country. I always see that you be going with this free trade agreement and the same nonsense that you carry on with, sir, that has gotten us in this situation where we have to rely on other countries to keep ours running. And moving into the future, Albo, you don't give me much confidence, mate. But then what happens when we get past May, June, July? If you're only getting us 2, 3 days fuel, mate, I reckon we need to be trying to, one, I think you need to be stockpiling our reserves back up to 90 days. I understand that you can carry on and waste money with the green new energy scam, wasting $12.7 billion a year on this renewable energy fantasy land. You can be wasting money on the NDIS with all these scammers that are taking the piss out of our country and wasting taxpayers' money, and they're pissing it up the wall. It's an embarrassment, Albo. There's a lot of other things that you're wasting money on as well, sir, giving it to foreign nations instead of looking after our great country. So that's one thing you could be doing for our nation, Albo. See, you won't get our reserves back to 90 days, Albo, because 30 days reserve isn't much security, mate. You need to beef that up, double it. You need to triple it. So that's apparently going to cost you $20 billion, so you can pull that out of the hat, and I reckon you can beef up our fuel supplies. And I suggest you ring America, because they will refine it for us straight in our cars, and they'll send all the ships you need, mate. I reckon you should be ringing America, because a lot of other countries are, mate, because apparently 121 of the world's biggest fuel ships are heading to America to get filled up with diesel, jet fuel and petrol, mate. They're some of the biggest in the world, straight to America. So if you want a bulk supply, and if you want to ring up and get a bit of a discount maybe, and also if you want to mend our relationship, you've been treating America horrible, mate. You haven't backed up our allies, and it's an embarrassment, Albo. So if you want to actually do something for our nation, sir, I suggest one, you stockpile us back to 90 days in fuel, jet fuel, and diesel, and maybe even chuck us in a bit of extra just because of what's happening. Point two, Albo, is how about you come back to Australia, mate, and let's clear some land to build some oil refineries. Let's pop up one in each state, and while we're at it, let's open up some new coal-fired power plants, mate, right? And that's what we need, one in each state as well. If you want to upgrade and modernise the existing ones in the state, fair be it. But this is what we need to be doing, Albo, in our great nation. Okay, so not flying around everywhere, gallivanting all around the countryside and securing us with 3 days fuel out. Australia is one of the richest countries in the world for minerals, and we have some of the best agricultural land and empty land in the world, mate. So you know, it's sad that we have to rely on other countries to keep our nation afloat. And it's sad to see all the businesses that have been destroyed over the years. Topic 3 of Stringybark Podcasting is the green renewable energy scam that's destroyed our nation and destroyed our prosperity for the future and my fellow Australians' prosperity. And it's just destroyed everything, even just, you know, down to getting apprenticeships and tradeships and just having good jobs that can supply good wages for Australians. So, you know, we can work hard, we can have goals and ambitions, we can, if it is you want to buy a house and you want to have a bit of property, you know, jobs like these, the fossil fuel industry gives us an opportunity to be able to do that. And without high-paying jobs like that, my fellow Australians, you know, it makes it very hard to get out of the poverty line and you know, actually create some generational wealth. It's near impossible. I know from experience that these high-paying jobs has helped me a lot in my life, and I've always said this along the way. If any of my fellow Australians have the opportunity to kind of get in the construction mining industry, take it, because the benefits are unreal, and it can give you so much in life. I want to see those great industries be brought back to our great country so we can be more prosperous, so we can be more sovereign, so we don't have to rely on other countries for keeping our lights on. What David Crisafulli's trying to do up here in Queensland, he wants to get this oil refinery going. Well, the green environment, red tape, government policies that are stopping him. But it's all right if you want to pop up a wind farm or a solar farm. But if you want to do what he wants to do, the amount of paperwork and legislation and carry on is next level. It's near impossible. So, like he's been saying, we want to see the red tape taken away, especially from jobs like this, where we're at the moment we're in a so you're saying we're in a national crisis with the fuel situation, where a job like this can actually provide the fuel that we need so we aren't in this emergency elbow. Let's get this job up and running, mate, that David Crisafulli's doing. He's the only elected official in Queensland that is looking about creating sovereignty in the state of Queensland, and I'm pretty sure once it gets up and running, he's looking to sell it throughout Australia. So how come we haven't got other premiers around the world? And how come Albo, you aren't talking like David Crisafulli is, mate, with opening up the Taroom oil shelf? So let's get that going, Albo, number one, especially with what's going on at the moment overseas and how every day you're struggling to find fuel. So no, we don't want to cancel out fossil fuel. We don't want to go full electric. And we do want to cancel out the net zero policies that are destroying our nation via shutting down our industries, stopping our production, and all the red tape and legislation on the fossil fuel industry, gas, coal, oil, and whatever other precious mineral comes out of the ground. But that needs to end. If this country wants to be prosperous into the future and contain our way of life and our middle class, which is slowly eroding, we need to bring these manufacturing jobs back, manufacturing industries back now, Albo. We need to start because it's going to take 5, 10 years to bring all this production back, mate. It took 20 years to destroy. It's going to take 20 years to get back firing up again. Is this literally how we're going to be running our nation for the next 10 or 15, 20 years into the future, Albo, and all you government politicians? Because you don't give me much confidence and you don't give my fellow Australians much confidence into our future. And it's disappointing. No one voted for this net zero madness, which is raising the price of everything. No one voted for this mass immigration, which is changing the fabric of our nation, adding to the cost of living and making the housing crisis worse. See, I nearly said fuel crisis because this is how horrible you were doing, Albo. There's bloody crises every day, mate. And if you continue down this line, you're going to have a serious problem into the future, Albo. Now, don't come out in the next few months and start talking about fuel rationing and all this other lockdowns. Bloody, what are you going to give us a fuel ID and all this other drama? You need to prepare now. You should have prepared the last few years. You should have been preparing the last few months and decades, Albo, with all your government without shutting down our industries and production and making us reliant on foreign countries. It's an embarrassment and it's a horrible mess. You just need to fix it because it's going to take, like I said, it's going to take 10, 20 years to bring it all back. That's just a bit about the fuel situation. I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I think you should as well. Do your information, do your research, because we don't actually know the numbers that they know. We don't know the fuel going out, coming in. We don't know the stockpile. We can only go off the information that the mainstream media are giving us, or from our fellow podcasters that we listen to. So yeah, as we always do our research, and think about it. Take what you want, listen to what information you want, put it all together, and just be aware and be on top of these little buggers, little cheeky buggers. So just in America with the radical left-wing organization Act Blue that I was telling you about, over the last 10, 11 years, they've contributed anywhere between 10 and $12 billion to Democrat political parties, Democrat lobbyists, they're a cash-making machine for the Democrat Party. They've been funding political advanced voting machines, voting turnout. They've been funneling money to Democrat protesting. They've been funneling money towards the political voting systems, the voting machines. Fucking hell. A bit late. They've been giving money out to left. They've been funding political movements, political protesting. They've been funding political movements and protesting in America. Even around the world, I heard that a couple of countries, and I'm pretty sure Australia was one of them. Europe was a few, and England was a couple. They've been sending money over there to their left-wing organisations. Australia have two of them. They're called Get Up and Climate 200. I'll have a chat about them in a minute. The Act Blue organisation in America was funding political candidates. They were sending money to political protesting. They were sending money to voting machines and voting. They've been funding money for mail-in ballots, and they've been funding money to when you go and vote on the day, at the booth or however long. I think over in America you can go vote for a few days in some states. Apparently the organisation is in front of Congress at the moment and they're getting raked over the coals. The CEO in America, she was taking money from these organisations and they swore under oath to tell the truth, and it's all been coming out. It's going to be good because they were also spending money around the world, and I believe they were funding our organisation in Australia called Get Up and Climate 200. Now, I believe that Soros was always funding this organisation as well, and I believe they had other major backers, foreign backers. Even in America, a lot of money that was getting peddled into that was from America as well. Got to remember that the Democrat Party, they had some big donors at the start. Mark Zuckerberg, bloody Elon Musk was even a Democrat at the start. There was the Jeff Bezos. Some of the biggest company owners in the world are all Democrats. There's not many that are Republicans. Get Up and Climate 200 in Australia, they fund political movements as well, and they always seem to fund the Labor and the Greens, don't they? And nowadays, Teals. Climate 200 funds Teals. Simon Holmes are called, the Climate 200 activist, protest billionaire who could buy an island and do whatever he wants, who's funneling money into the Climate 200 and possibly Get Up as well. Teal, at the moment, there's an independent. She claims she's an independent in Farah, but she's a Teal in disguise. So this is just an example. There's a few more. They're everywhere. A few of them are in our parliament at the moment, the Teals. So yeah, these radical lefties, we want to see this end in Australia as well. So all the money that's funding that, we want to see that dry up. And if it was coming from Act Blue in America, well, that's a start. And you only need to have a look at the few Teals that are getting around at the moment. It's starting to get a bit more sophisticated. Like I did that video on the gas tax, where people, seem to get their knickers in a bit of a twist at the minute. But like I said, they pay a lot of money already, 22 billion a year in taxes and royalties. They employ a lot of people who also pay a lot of tax as well, and they get paid well, so they have mortgages, they have cars, they have loans, they have whatever, so they're contributing with GST as well. So it's a big circle that goes around, and we want to see continue. Don't want to see it slow down at all, which is what I believe that video was about. Was at the end of the day, the whole agenda behind the Greens putting on the commission into looking into the gas sector, trying to get them to pay an extra 25%. The Greens put that all on. They can bring in who they want to talk to and who they don't want to talk to. And it just so happened they brought the Australian Institute in, the bald guy who just talks rubbish, and then they brought pundits politics in. And they're all for shutting down the gas industry because they're green lobbyists. Before that, if anything, I'm a fossil fuel lobbyist. I want to see the fossil fuel industry grow and get better. Of course, we don't want to destroy the environment, but whenever you start a coal mine and you exhaust the resource, there's no more coal. It's just a big hole. You fill it back in, you compact it, you pop some trees up. In 5 years' time, it's like a natural forest again. Where with the wind farm, that whole area is contaminated around that wind blade. You've forever changed the landscape of those mountains and gullies and valleys. You've cut mountains out, you've added in, you've put culverts in, you've done everything. Unless you want to take all that out and restore it back to natural, which you won't, because it's going to cost you a lot of money, more money than probably cost you to build the bloody thing. Will it take to get it back to its natural state? It will never happen. So that's the difference as well. The environment's forever destroyed with renewable energy, especially wind farms. Like I said, coal mine, trees grow on it and it's all restored back to natural. Yeah, those are the movements that are infiltrating our institutions, and they are funded by big billionaires all around the world. The institutions that are getting around with this radical left ideology, and they're funding and infiltrating our system to do it. So, you only need to look at what Soros has been up to, and now his son and all people like him. I won't name names because it seems to get me views down. And we want to see that end. The radical left ideology is a disease on our nation, and Stringybark is here to destroy it, metaphorically, not the people, the ideology. Just a little bit on the Iran USA issue. One of those tankers, one of those world's biggest oil tankers or fuel tankers, one holds 2 million barrels. Far out, that's a lot of diesel. If you have a look at it, Holy hell, it's like one of the biggest moving things on our planet. I listen to Stringybark Podcast and you'll notice how I talk about the infiltration of Western civilization was to destroy it, take America away from the dollar, destroy its dominance around the world, manufacturing, military, and however else these Muppets thought were going to get away with it. China's been struggling because Venezuela's been knocked out. That was the second biggest place China got got a lot of their oil and fuel from. Iran is number one. Number three was Cuba, I think. The other place Trump went in and sorted out. Um, so they're struggling at the moment. Apparently, they've had to dip into their own fuel reserves to keep running. And the other thing that I heard today as well is that China had to ring Saudi Arabia. He had to get on the phone with MBS, the Sultan or the Prince maybe. Yeah, I think he's the Prince of Dubai, MBS, and Mohammed bin Salman had to get on the phone with him to ask him to get on the phone with Trump to hurry up and sort out the Hormuz Strait thing. Ladies and gentlemen, China's even struggling at the moment. Domestically, the energy prices are going up. China's dipped into their fuel reserves to keep their economy going on. China's President Xi Jinping rang personally up Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince MBS, demanding the uninterrupted passage of his vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, communicating that he wants the strait reopened. And the Saudis to convey the message to Trump and Washington, open the straits, keep them open, because they want to send their ships through. I think they're holding more talks in Pakistan, Trump's team and Iran. I don't think JD Vance is going there this time, so I thought that was a little bit weird. I didn't really find out any solid information there. So yeah, that's just a little bit on the Iran USA news. There's not really much happening there. One day it's open and one day it's shut, in between USA having a blockade there and then bloody Iran just having a hissy fit and shutting it. Or I even heard that Iran, they've run out of sending in actual missiles, that they're running around in little dinghies with AK-47s trying to shoot at the hull of all these USA military ships and something. So yeah, anyway, I don't know what's happening, but we'll keep an eye on it and let's hope it gets sorted soon. It needs to remain open because, like, if it stays shut for another 2 months, we're going to feel it here in Australia. That's what I believe. So we really want to see this bullshit over in the Middle East sorted out now. And whatever they need to do to sort it out, Trumpy, it's getting close to midterms, mate. So you need to stop this soon, because you don't want this bad publicity when you're trying to get the midterms and secure the House, the Senate, and have a majority. So come on, mate, you know what's going on, so let's finish this. The thing that I've seen today is Trump responds to people who say that he works with Israel or Israel made him do it. And I heard him say 2 days ago, I think, Israel were going to bomb Lebanon. He put out a post and he contacted the president of Israel and said, do not do this, BB. If you do this, there will be repercussions. And BB didn't do it. So you know what I mean? So that's what I've been saying with the mighty military industrial complex, the CIA, Homeland Security, and every other big intelligence organization, multi-billionaire, trillionaire in America, where all the massive industrial technology is, where all the massive technology is, military, industrial, AI, everything, satellite, everything is all in America. And it's if there's other countries around the world that have technology and infrastructure, it's making its way to America. That it there for a bit of news. Just want to have a chat about the mainstream media talking points and all these conservative influencers, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Nick Fuentes, and a few others who are changing their tunes and obviously, against Israel, I understand. But, what's the go with standing with the terrorists in Iran just because you just hate Israel? I don't understand this. And I see the switch everywhere. I see a lot of influence as well in Australia and overseas around the world that are doing exactly the same. You're literally following the left-wing communism socialism propaganda slop. That's all it is. Now it seems that they're standing up and they're celebrating with these socialist communist left media influencers and protesters and all these fairies around the world. And I thought we were against that. What is this about? I don't understand. What are you doing right now? Anti-Israel, that's all you're saying. Is there either got Trump derangement syndrome or is there anti-Israel? I don't understand how we're not for our allies like we have been since our federation, 200 years, 250 years, 110 years with America. I don't understand why we're siding with the communist socialists that were trying to destroy our nation, our Western civilization, via bricks, Belt and Road, all that other mumbo jumbo that I talk about all the time. So it only seems that there's a handful of us, and I appreciate it as well that you keep your values, you keep Australia's values, our ancestors' values, our Western civilization values, and that this should be your value. Well, this is my value, and this is Stringybark Podcasting value. Value a fair few times there, bugger. So yeah, I don't get it, but anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the that 25% gas tax that it seems to be that bit of the focus is on at the moment. Hasn't the mainstream media turned this up a bit? Seem to suck a few people in. And, even that video that I made this morning or last night, I believe that to be true. I believe that that's their agenda behind the scenes. The radical left Green organised the Senate committee hearing. The radical left lobbyist, green energy lobbyist, went up there and spoke. They were all giggling and having a good time. They were all answering everyone's questions. The questions are very basic. Oh yeah, extra $4 billion to help schools and help Australians with housing and costing. They are a little bit of the issue, money, because we're wasting money in other places that isn't needed it. But the issues are that we need to stop mass immigration. We need to start building more houses and actually do it. And instead of saying that we are, and we need to start bringing back our manufacturing and production. I didn't hear any one of you down there talking about opening up a fuel refinery or expanding our land for more gas, more iron ore, more coal, opening up some industries that we shut down a long time ago. Australia was the third largest producer of diamonds. We had Lake Argyle in the centre of Australia, and we had the Merlin mine up north. We shut that down. We were the third largest producer in diamonds in the world, and we were that for 25 years. So how come we can't go down to Parliament and talk about these serious issues that could actually really help our country and my fellow Australians? Yet we're down there talking about the gas companies that are already paying $22 billion a year in taxes. If you want to keep pissing them off, they're just going to go overseas. Oh yeah, people are saying they won't leave. No, they might not leave straight away, but they're not going to invest any more money into our country if our government and these lobbyists keep coming after them all the time, trying to get more money out of them. And they keep hitting them with more environmental, more red tape, more legislations, more audits, more of this other rubbish. If we keep going, they're going to start spending that money that they invest and explore and exploration drilling. They're going to go over to South Africa, or they're going to go over to India, or they're going to go over to the Middle East or some other country. All right, so we need to stop it here. To stop it, they also employ anywhere from 220,000 to 280,000 of my fellow Australians, and they also employed me for a fair few years. So I'd like to see our fossil fuel industry continue in Australia to be prosperous, to expand their lands, and to help my fellow Australians in earning some good wages so we can help ourselves and our family, because our government isn't doing it. This cost of living is destroying the middle class, and it's horrible. So these great industries can get our people out of poverty and get the middle class back up to where we should be. All right, my fellow Australians, that's just a bit of a yarn today, a bit of a chat, and thank you for the support. Thank you for the likes, shares, comments, all the messages. I'm getting heaps. If you can do me a favor and keep sharing my stuff, and yeah, that'd be great. It helps me out a fair bit. Yeah, well, I'll hopefully do another podcast in the next few days, and keep the videos coming. And yeah, thanks for hanging around, and I appreciate the support. I really do. And you all have a great rest of the the day, night, wherever you are. And we'll talk again soon, eh? Hooroo.